Good evening, everyone. It is Saturday evening, August 17th, 2024. It was about, let's see, 55 years ago tonight that Hurricane Camille hit the Gulf Coast of Mississippi as a Category 5 hurricane. It caused a 25-foot storm surge to come across the coast of Mississippi, and around 250 to 300 people lost their lives. It was quite a catastrophic hurricane, and fortunately, nothing like that's happening tonight. And friends, family, I haven't been on here for several days. I've been very busy with work and just being tired, and allergies had me this week not feeling good, and I really just didn't feel like getting on here and doing a weather report. Well, I say weather report. It's I'm mainly just here to share with you my knowledge about weather that I've learned over the last 25 to 30 years, since I was just a little kid that I became really interested in weather. Uh, at age 12 is when I really became interested in weather, but I've been fascinated by thunderstorms since I was like 7 or 8. So all the way back to about 1990. Anyway, excuse me, I got allergies going on, but I wanted to go talk a little bit about what's going on in the weather right now. And Hurricane Ernesto, just as some of the weather people predicted, would create some gigantic swells of waves coming up over to the east coast of the United States. And sure enough, those swells caused a lot of damage. In fact, a house got swept right out into the Atlantic Ocean in Rodanthe, North Carolina. Saw that on YouTube today. It's pretty crazy. But anyway, I wanted to just show you real quick about what's going on with the weather here in the lower 48. And here is what we have going on. As you can see, this is a water vapor satellite imagery. And I just wanted to point out a few things. Any place you see here where it's, watch my cursor, where it's really orange, bright orange, and kind of a red color, that's where the air is very dry. And out here in the west, like California, Nevada, right up here into southwest Idaho, going up into eastern Washington, and then especially here in the middle of the country, coming all the way from North Dakota all the way down to Oklahoma, and then over here to Missouri, Arkansas, and Iowa. The air is really dry. Even up here into central, across Tennessee, it's dry. But right here, let me show you here real quick a couple of little things. I'm going to just do with the red because that's the symbol for low pressure. So here we have, this is an area of low pressure in the upper atmosphere. This is kind of an unoccluded front too. You have a warm front right here like this. This is very terrible drawing, but this is supposed to be a warm front. And right out here, let's see, I can draw with other colors. This is supposed to be actually it kind of caught up, so it's an occluded front like this. This is a kind of a cold front. But right here, this is a low pressure area spinning just north of Detroit, Michigan. And so on the backside, you have this dry continental air coming down from Canada, injected all the way down here into the southeast, and it's colliding right along here. The front kind of continues and it's stalled right here along the deep south region. And we've got showers and thunderstorms that have popped up basically from just around the Baton Rouge area over to about Hattiesburg, Mississippi, over here to Montgomery and Birmingham, Alabama. And right now, right over Atlanta, you got some showers and thunderstorms there, and as well as Columbia, South Carolina tonight. And then notice out here, let me go back to the red here. This is Hurricane Ernesto. Here it is. You can see it has the perfect hurricane symbol. It's perfectly well shaped for me to draw the hurricane symbol. And sure enough, there it is. There's Ernesto. Ernesto, I gotta tell you, I'm really surprised it didn't make it to a Cat 3. I thought sure within this area right here, just south of Bermuda, it would become a Cat 3. But what happened? All that dry air I was talking about, it got sucked in like this into Ernesto. And so Ernesto, right as it was getting ready to become a Cat 3, it weakened right as it was hitting Bermuda. So they got a direct hit, but the storm, as far as I can tell, didn't cause significant damage. So that island is pretty strong, and they know how to handle hurricanes pretty well. So let me not spend too much time on this. I also want to show you across the Atlantic Ocean here. Let's get rid of this, change the screen here. So let me quickly show where the hot weather is. You can see across from the Great Lakes region and the upper Midwest and the Northeast, the weather is very nice. It's in the 60s, 70s, and I mean, no, it's in the 70s and 80s. That was the highs today. And then across here in Florida, you can see where I live, 93 for Gainesville. Not as bad as over here in Dallas, Texas, 104. And then, of course, Arizona is always hot in the summer. And it's been typically mild in Utah and Idaho, 80s and 90s, but that's a dry heat, so that's nice weather. Here in Oregon and Washington State, western parts of those states, has been very pleasant in the 70s. Let me get over here and show you also what's going on out here in the Atlantic. Let me show you something else. I didn't quite erase everything here. Let's erase this out here. So right here, let me show you another symbol for, excuse me, gosh, allergies. So right here is the coast of Africa, right here. So you can see we have a pretty good wave train and an area of moisture, tropical moisture coming off the coast of Africa. However, look at all this right here. Look at all this dry air that's still out here. This has been wonderful. As long as we keep having this is not going to be the robust hurricane season that the forecasters were saying, because this is hurricane death right here. All this dry air. If this sticks around longer than expected, like into early September, this hurricane season is going to be active, but it's only going to be active for about a month and a half. So we might end up getting 15 to 20 storms this year, not the 23 to 28 that they've been expecting. But you can see here, and one thing I also wanted to point out here, erase all this crap. So one thing I wanted to show you, look at the, let me choose a different color here. And these allergies are just driving me nuts tonight. Got this crap up in my sinuses. Let me show you here. See this wind flow pattern right here? Coming in like that? That is a trough in the jet stream. So as long as we keep getting these, you got this upper level low here. You got Hurricane Ernesto spinning around like this. But we look at the upper level atmosphere when we look for steering of hurricanes. And as long as this pattern right here stays in place, these storms that do develop, they're going to come out here and go like this and go out to sea and not bother us. However, we can't expect that to keep happening at some point, and that's what this dry air is indicative of. All this dry air out over the Atlantic, that means that the Bermuda Azores high is probably going to be stronger than it was last year and further west. So this is just a short-term weather pattern. This trough that you see here, follow my cursor, this is going to eventually flatten out and become more zonal. And the low pressure area associated with Ernesto is going to kick on out. And an upper level high, let me draw that again, is going to replace it. Let's draw a big old high pressure area right here. This is going to be the Bermuda Azores high. This is going to set itself up. And the wind flow pattern is kind of like this. Let me just draw some lines. Kind of flows like that around high pressure. That's going to eventually extend a little further west. And probably what's going to happen, let me change colors again. We're going to have some tropical areas of low pressure popping up, running along this intertropical convergence line. Some of them are going to develop and move out to sea like Ernesto did, kind of go out like this. But some of them might end up developing later or somewhere in this region, and they might fester and then, mess around with places like Florida, in the central Gulf Coast up here towards Mississippi, Alabama. Some of them might go up towards Texas again. We can probably expect that to start happening as we get into the month of September. But I think for August, and I'll show you in a second here, the computer models are not showing a whole lot of development out here in the Atlantic. Let me go on to that right now before we waste any more time here. Look at this. So this is the computer models. This is the GFS. I'm going to run this regularly, just in a motion, and watch. This is tonight. This is tomorrow. So Ernesto is kicking on out of here. Now keep an eye on this area. Dang it. I did it again. Dang it. I hate when I do that. I hate when I do that. I did not want to do that. Let me go back. Okay, let's try this again, folks. I'm so sorry. That really ticks me off when that happens. I don't want to get an upper air sounding. Let's try this again. Okay, putting into motion. Here we go. Now watch. So off the coast of Africa, you don't see a whole lot. and there's some pretty robust waves. But see, here's the Bermuda Azores high that I'm talking about. It's kind of it's sitting kind of far north, but it's still pretty strong. And you can see the general flow is basically to the west. Like here's so much of low pressure areas popping up over South America, but there's nothing really organized. And this is the 30th of August. It looks like we're going to get all the way through August and not really see well, until we get into the like September 2nd, we could see something forming off the southeast coast. But let me hurry up and wrap this video up because it's already been close to 10 or 12 minutes. Basically, right now, there's not a whole lot going on. It's going to be typical hot here in Florida, very hot across Texas and across Louisiana and the mid South. But we're going to have a little bit of pop up showers and thunderstorms here in North Florida next 3 to 4 days as usual. Temperatures in the low 90s with typical high humidity. And then across the Northeast, it's going to be nice and pleasant. It's going to be temperatures in the low 80s. And across the West, it'll be typical warmth. It'll be 80s and 90s for highs. Across the Midwest, it'll be dry and warm to hot. And pretty much that's about it for right now. No hurricanes to worry about for the next, I'd say, 7 to 15 days. We'll talk to you later. Good night, everybody. Oops, I didn't say good night. Now I can say good night.